Los Angeles, January 15, 1947. A young mother walks along a quiet sidewalk in a suburb of South Los Angeles. Her daughter skips ahead, her laughter piercing the still morning air. Then, the child suddenly stops. She points toward a vacant lot and says, "Mommy, look at the doll." The woman turns her head. Her heart seizes. That wasn't a doll. It was the body of a woman mutilated, pale, and cut in half at the waist. A grisly tableau that would haunt Los Angeles forever. That body belonged to 22-year-old Elizabeth Short, later known to the world by a chilling moniker, the Black Dahlia. Her death would spark one of the most infamous and brutal unsolved crimes in American history. The case captured headlines, shocked the public, and spawned decades of theories, books, and Hollywood films. But behind the myth lies a devastating true story of a young woman chasing her dreams in the city of angels and ending up in its darkest nightmare. Elizabeth Short was born July 29, 1924, in the working-class town of Hyde Park, Massachusetts. The third of 5 daughters, she grew up during the Great Depression. Her father, Cleo Short, abandoned the family when Elizabeth was just 6 years old, leaving her mother, Phoebe, to raise 5 girls alone. That wound of abandonment shaped Elizabeth's life. She grew into a strikingly beautiful young woman with jet black hair, porcelain skin, and piercing blue eyes. People noticed her the moment she entered a room. In her late teens, Elizabeth set her sights west. Like so many before her, she dreamed of Hollywood stardom. She longed for the spotlight, to reinvent herself under the California sun. Friends recalled her elegance, her obsession with movie stars, her tendency to dress in black, and her flair for mystery. Soon, she earned the nickname the Black Dahlia, inspired by the popular film noir The Blue Dahlia and her penchant for black clothing, sheer stockings, and ruby red lipstick. But Hollywood is not kind to dreamers. Elizabeth bounced between Los Angeles, San Diego, and Santa Barbara. She worked as a waitress, lived in cheap hotels, and relied on the kindness of men she dated. She had no steady income, no fixed address, and a growing reputation for being both alluring and elusive. Some described her as warm and fun-loving. Others said she spun lies about her past, inventing husbands who didn't exist or film contracts that never materialized. Behind the glamour, there was a vulnerability, a young woman adrift, trying to belong. In the days leading up to her murder, Elizabeth was in Los Angeles, struggling to find her footing. She was last seen alive on January 9, 1947, at the Biltmore Hotel downtown, after meeting a former boyfriend. Witnesses said she was waiting for someone in the lobby, sitting nervously, glancing toward the entrance. Then, she vanished into the night. 6 days later, she would be found in a vacant lot on Norton Avenue, her body so mutilated that even seasoned police officers recoiled in horror. Her corpse was severed completely in 2 at the waist. The killer had drained her blood, leaving her skin ghostly white. Her mouth had been slashed from ear to ear into a grotesque smile. There were deep cuts and bruises across her body, signs of torture. Investigators noted that the killer had carefully washed her, positioned her in a shocking display, her arms raised above her head, her legs spread apart. This wasn't just murder, it was theater. When police arrived, they knew immediately this was unlike anything they had seen. Reporters descended on the scene, snapping photos and rushing copy to their editors. Within hours, the murder dominated the headlines. Black Dahlia slain screamed the newspapers. Los Angeles, the glamorous capital of post-war America, was gripped by fear and fascination. Who could have done such a thing? And why? The LAPD launched a massive investigation. More than 750 investigators worked the case, interviewing hundreds of witnesses. The coroner's report revealed shocking details. Elizabeth had endured days of torture before her death. She suffered blunt force trauma to the head, but she may have still been alive when the mutilations began. For the detectives, one thing was clear: the killer had medical knowledge or surgical skill. The cuts were precise, almost clinical. Tips poured in. False confessions flooded the station. The press, eager for sensational copy, turned Elizabeth into a figure of both pity and scandal. They painted her as a femme fatale, a party girl who courted danger, despite evidence that she was more often lonely and broke than glamorous. The newspapers twisted her memory, feeding the public's hunger for a fallen starlet narrative. Then came the letters. The Los Angeles Examiner received an envelope. Inside was Elizabeth's birth certificate, personal photos, and address book. The package had been carefully cleaned with gasoline to remove fingerprints. A note, assembled from cut-out letters, read, "Here is Dahlia's belongings. I will give up in due time. Signed, the Black Dahlia Avenger." The taunting continued, with more notes sent to the police. The killer seemed to revel in the chaos he had unleashed. Detectives had suspects, but no answers. One man, Dr. George Hodel, a wealthy physician with a dark reputation, stood out. He was accused of abusing his own daughter and had a fascination with surrealist art that eerily mirrored the crime scene. In 1949, he became a prime suspect when police secretly bugged his home. On the tapes, Hodel was heard saying, "Supposin' I did kill the Black Dahlia, they couldn't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary anymore because she's dead." Despite the chilling recordings, he was never charged. Other suspects emerged: nightclub owners, mobsters, ex-boyfriends. More than 150 men were questioned seriously, yet the evidence never stuck. Every lead seemed to unravel, every suspect slipping away. The press hounded detectives, spinning new theories almost daily. The LAPD faced accusations of corruption and incompetence, with whispers that powerful men may have been protected. As weeks turned into months, the case grew colder. The city, still enthralled, moved on to other scandals. Elizabeth's murder remained a haunting reminder of the darkness beneath Hollywood's glittering surface. In the decades that followed, the Black Dahlia became legend. Books and films portrayed Elizabeth as everything from an innocent dreamer to a doomed seductress. Amateur sleuths pored over evidence, convinced they had solved the case. Steve Hodel, son of Dr. George Hodel, published books accusing his father of not only killing Elizabeth, but also being a serial killer responsible for other unsolved murders. Some theories pointed to a botched abortion, others to a jealous lover, still others to a ritualistic killing inspired by surrealist art. None were ever proven. What we do know is this: Elizabeth Short was more than a headline. She was a young woman with hopes, flaws, and dreams that ended in unimaginable horror. Her death exposed the underbelly of Los Angeles, a city that promised fame but often delivered tragedy. To this day, the Black Dahlia murder remains unsolved. The LAPD closed the case files, though they are still available to the public. Forensic technology has advanced, but the evidence is too old, too compromised to yield answers. The killer, whoever he was, escaped justice. And yet, the fascination endures. Tourists still visit the site where her body was found. Her story appears in countless documentaries, novels, and television shows. Each generation finds itself drawn back to the mystery, searching for clues in the shadows of Los Angeles history. Elizabeth Short's life ended brutally, but her memory lingers in the public imagination, a symbol of Hollywood's broken dreams, of innocence lost, of violence without reason. What do you think happened? Was she the victim of a sadistic surgeon, a jealous lover, or a predator shielded by corruption? The truth remains buried beneath decades of speculation. But one thing is certain: on that cold January morning in 1947, the City of Angels revealed its darkest face. What do you think happened? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned for more uploads. Like, comment, and subscribe.